1, go. Go with it.
What is it? What do you want? Come and see me. You come and see the people. You come and see a little big guy. If you want Fred, you better go and talk to your mum. I'm live.
Oh!
What's he like?
See if he'll help us out. Oh, look, it's Chris Fisher. First man in the go. What's up with Facebook? Have you got Facebook up?
I'm getting up there now.
Okay.
Hi Charles, hi Kevin. Hi Duncan, hi John. Maggie, Pete. I'm moving fast now. Hi Lorraine, hi Sandy. Hi Brian, hi Eddie. Hi John, how are you? Hi Doug. Hi. Hi, we're fine, Charles, thanks. Oh, hi Aaron.
There we go.
Oh, hi John from Aaron.
So you're looking on Facebook, are you?
I am. No, I'm reading our base screens at the moment. You were busy messing about.
Yeah, I know. I was bringing up Facebook on my phone.
Oh, that's what I've done. I've got it in front of me. Hi, Lynn. Hi, Owen. Hey, Mark. Linda. James.
When I go that way, I've got...
Hi, Stuart. Stephen, Melanie.
This is bloody laptop. That's what it is.
How we doing? Numbers are climbing nicely. Hi, Sandra. Stephen. Stephen, thanks for sending me that thing on the on renewable energy. We're going to talk about it in the day's show. Thanks, Stephen. Hi, Alistair, sorry.
Hey, I've just found my clicky pen.
Oh, your clicky pen. Hey, watch.
What?
Better not be a valuable clicky pen.
Get north.
I'll be doing it myself. I've got a clicky pen everywhere. You know me, my notebooks and clicky pens. Anyway, before we get into it, threw a mad idea out there last week, and now it seems to take arms and legs, David.
Did somebody mention a gig?
Aye.
Can I get my banjo out and start making money with a cup in front of me? Because I become a pensioner in just a few weeks' time. That's it. I'm cleaning windows. There you go.
Anyway, it's going mental out there. People like the idea.
I like that. But understand this, guys. We are not music festival promoters. We've never done that in our lives. I played in the band, right? Couldn't play now because I've got carpal tunnel syndrome. So there you are, that one's out, right? But certainly, I would love to go to any concert featuring Scottish bands, like say in Glasgow Green, but wonderful.
Pro-independent Scottish bands. It's a pro-independence thing. Youth involved.
I actually don't think that for a music festival that matters. Let's kick all the blooming speeches out. No, hold on.
How would they talk with speeches?
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is let's have it just as a music festival.
No, there's enough music festivals. This one's to get the young involved in campaigning.
Yes.
Right.
It'll be
specific for that purpose.
It'll be run by the independence movement.
As I say, it's be specific to that purpose, because that's the idea of throwing it out there. But anyway, it's taking everyone's life. Right, let's get to business, because we've got a good few people on board. All right, so the Two Davies on the 8th of May 2020. Oh, it's the 11th of May 2023. Geez, oh, Davey, we get a grip.
That's right.
Yeah. The 8th was the last one. Anyway, here we go.
Gordon Brown, hold on. This is a news flash. Gordon Brown to hold pro-union rally in Edinburgh in June.
Oh, very good. We'll see how that goes.
Him and
anyway, Little England uses new Public Order Act to arrest peaceful protesters and nighttime security staff. Am I on the right fucking page? No, I'm not. I was right. Right, let's start this again. Right, the 11th of the 8th, 2023. Right, fallout for coronation arrests and Starmer's response to the Public Order Act.
Starmer's response is just, it's more of the same. He's not wanting to be Labour. He wants to be Tories Mark II or the Red Tories. That's it. He won't change a thing when he gets into power. We all did this with Tony Blair. We all thought, great, that's John Major gone and Maggie Thatcher before him, and now we're going to get rid of everything that they brought in. And what did they do? So Starmer's going to do.
Starmer actually owned the television. I wanted to get to that second, but you've decided to address that point first, right? Yeah. Starmer owned the television, specifically being asked if he would reverse the Public Order Act, and went, no, I'm going to let it bed in.
Right. Also, he's being asked, will you do a deal with the SNP? No, definitely. I will not do a deal with the SNP. Right, I've got news for you, Mr. Starmer. This is about a real politic, right? Okay. See if the SNP get all the MPs down there, right? And the Lib Dems fall flat in their faces, and maybe you've got a couple of Lib Dem blooming MPs down there, right? Who are you going to come chapping the door to actually get you into number 10? Eh?
The other thing is, I mean, if it's as the polls are predicting, and we may as well get to that, the polls are predicting a hung parliament actually at this point in time. In fact, when you look at the bookies' odds, thanks again to Stephen, I know the bookies' odds, a hung parliament or minority Labour government is 3-1 on, and that's the biggest bet at this point in time.
Actually, that is due to the duopoly that has been formed. Labour, Tory, Labour, Tory. The more that you are firm with a duopoly, that nobody else is able to come in and break into that, right? That means that logically you will end up with more hung parliaments.
But who's Starmer? The point I was going to make is, and I didn't really want to get to this point at this point in time, but hey ho, it depends on how many seats Starmer might be relying on.
Yeah.
If the Lib Dems get, I imagine they'll increase the size of the party to about 20 MPs. So Starmer only needs 20 MPs, But even if he only needs a couple of Lib Dems, would you trust a couple of Lib Dems to keep you in government?
No, nobody should be voting for Lib Dem, because Lib Dem is just a flip-flop party. They are whoever shuts the door to actually form a government in a hung parliament. Simple as that.
Right, anyway, but let's get to the first party, the bit that you bypassed. The fallout for the arrests.
Mm-hmm.
The Metropolitan Police issued an apology saying they made a mistake. They made no mistake. They were given an order to behave in that manner from somewhere.
Absolutely. And as was said, about the rape alarms that were given out, arresting the people giving out rape alarms, right? And that somehow that was going to cause the horses to blooming bolt. Have you seen the training that these blooming police horses go through? Because they've got to go to blooming football matches.
Never mind that.
They've got rattles and blooming horns and all that.
Whistles and all sorts. Never mind the police horses. The military horses. They've all got fucking big drums and trumpets on the back of them.
They're meant to go to battlefields where things are going bang, bang, so there you go.
But as I say, anyway, the up and come, the short of it, there was a call in Parliament for it to be a public inquiry into the behaviour in the Met. But obviously that won't happen because that would lead to whoever it was who authorised the Met to work in that way, to handle the situation in that manner. And that's going to be in the Home Office, and that'll also have been a King Chuck, because he wouldn't have wanted the embarrassment of seeing people saying down with the crown on his big day.
Yeah. Why do you think he gave it royal assent 4 days before the coronation? That was rushed. That really was rushed.
Aye, and as I say, the orders came from the top. That means Buckhouse. To the Home Office, to the Met, no visible signs of republicanism, no visible signs of dissent.
What have happened is Cruella will have said, "Oh, you don't want any of this, and if you give this Public Order Act the royal assent, we'll make sure that the police have got the message that it's everybody just waving Union Jacks as the trolley goes by with the king on it."
Actually, I have been looking at pictures of London recently, and this is before the coronation, and every fucking street's got strings of Union Jacks in them. It's like Nazi Germany.
That's right.
It's bloody horrifying.
Yeah, of course it is.
Wow.
If we had that in Scotland, where it was like lines and lines of saltires, every street, Sauchiehall Street, Argyll Street, all the rest of it in Glasgow, right? You'd be going, all right, guys, tone it down a bit.
What you try to do, indoctrinate us into your state.
Yeah, I know.
It's like North Korea.
Yeah.
Russia. Wow, Nazi Germany. That's what London looks like.
Yeah, I agree.
Right, anyway, so there's calls for public inquiry into the way the Met behaved, but that's not going to happen. The Met have issued apologies to the people who were arrested. Who wants to accept an apology for that mob? So apparently the Republic...
No, the moment let's say they apologise to me after locking me up for 12 hours or whatever.
6 years they held these guys for.
Hello there, is that Mr. Criminal Lawyer? Right, okay, I'd like to take the police to go to court over this.
Aye, well, I would go for I would definitely go for a lawsuit, that's for sure. And that's what's going to happen. Republic are going to sue the Met, and that'll pay for their operations. We're down with the crown for the next few years. Right, let's move on. In his dizziness for the local elections, Sir Ed Davey is calling for a vote of no confidence in Rishi Sunak. Now, is that a clever move, or is it just pushing the wind?
I would say personally that anybody that calls for a vote of no confidence in either Labour or Tory in the House of Commons, it's not a daft move. It's a punt. You know what I mean? It's a worthwhile punt. But as you were saying before the programme started, that it could just gain a bit of traction because there could be certain Tory people that are getting to the end of the term and they're thinking it might be a good idea to bin these people.
I want to go a wee bit deeper into why this he could just pull this one off. Now, and the thing is, in a vote of no confidence, the Labour are going to go.
Yeah.
The Lib Dems will agree here, obviously, because Ed's putting it forward. The SNP will agree on that they will all vote no confidence. But the thing is, now there's about 129 Tory safe seats down that road that never ever will change hands for the Tory party.
Yeah.
But there's an awful lot of them are going to change hands for the first time. And there's an awful lot of them are going to change hands back to Labour.
Yeah.
And they're going to take a tanking. But what that 129 to say 160 seats that the Tories will retain because they're safest houses, they've always been Tory, will always ever be Tory, right? That 160 might be looking and saying, we're going to have to pick this party up and start again. Let's just get it over and done with and shed these wasters like Johnson, like Sunak, like Truss, or the nut jobs we've had, all these think tank goons that we've had in government for the last 5-6 years.
Yeah.
Or 4 years ago, I was 2019 they got any power, wasn't it? So that core of Tories that are going to be left, there's only going to be one or two troublemakers left within there, and that'll be Jacob Rees-Mogg, and they'll be quite happy to deal with him. You know what I mean? So Ed Davey might actually pull this one off with his vote of no confidence, because that 129 to 160 safe seats, whatever it is, they might well be looking at each other and saying, well, we're guaranteed to keep our seats, but we're people going to have to pick this up and start from scratch. We could be in the wilderness for 10 years here because of these muppets. Let's get rid of them and get started right now.
Okay.
But the other thing about the says, David, that's where the money in the Tory party really comes from.
Let me ask you a question. You made a bit of a premonition, right? Last week, where you said that if Starmer managed to pick up only 500 new councillors, then he was in trouble, right?
Aye. That's why people are projecting a hum.
So we're pinning our tail in a donkey. When do you see the general election happening?
Okay.
It won't be October, will it?
No, because of that particular result, I think soon it might hang on into next year now, because unless Davies' vote of no confidence is successful, as I say, there's every chance that core of Tories are going to have to pick up the mess and rebuild the party. They might well just collapse that in government so that they can get started right away.
Agree? Yeah.
You know, we don't really know how the 129, 160 Tories are looking at each other and thinking. And as I just said, they're the true money and the Tory party. Mm-hmm. They're the places that are Tory forever. And they're the real funders of the Tory party. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They might be looking at us and saying, time to cut this lot loose and start. Yeah. But, as I say, because of that result in the council elections, believe it or not, it didn't really go as bad for the Tories as well for Labour as what it did as bad for the Tories, because half the seats that were taken were picked up by the Greens and the Lib Dems. Mm-hmm. And that won't be reflected in the general election. No. You know? So it could well be that Sunak will try and hold it out as long as he can to try and see if he can fall back Mary the lead. Because if you look at that poll, the percentage of lead that Labour had at the closing of that poll, it dropped from 17% to 7%. Mm-hmm. Based on the fact that the field had narrowed to the point where it looked like a hung parliament. Mm-hmm. To be fair, how you extrapolate a council election to a UK national election, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, okay, but people will... Definitely, a lot of people will vote differently in a general election as to what they do in a local council election.
But I mean, what I did see was John Curtis did the numbers, and he said, although this isn't an exact science because it's two different types of election, he says this looks like a hung part. This looks like it's going to be a lot closer than what's been predicted. It won't be a landslide. And the other thing that's interesting is the polls here in Scotland for that Westminster election this week showed Labour slipping back 2% and SNP gaining 2% again. So, and that's so. You know, you can see that as people realise what it is Starmer's rowing back on, people are starting to look at it and say, "This isn't the promised land that we thought we were getting with 10 pledges."
That's right. And then, of course, really, no, but really, it's only you going with your traditional Labour voter that votes Labour because their mum and dad did, and they've kept it up, right? Only the stupid ones that haven't had a look at what Starmer's actually saying will continue to vote Labour. I hope, right?
Let me address this one for Chris Wilson. Fishy Rishi still thinks he can win an election. If the establishment decide that they want the Conservatives to remain in power, they will remain in power. You will get the full might of the media and the full might of the state making sure it happens, Chris.
Yeah.
We might have no point kidding ourselves on. Yeah. But as I say, it's not looking as good for Starmer. And as I say, we see the Labour slipping back in the polls here in Scotland as the people start to realise that actually Starmer, he's rolled back and everything. He's not going to scrap universal credit. He's not going to scrap the sanctuary scheme. Not going to scrap the two-child cat-owned benefits. Get rid of the rape clause. None of these things. He's walked away from changing to proportional representation. He's walked away from freedom of movement. He's walked away from university tuition fees, getting rid of them. He's just stated to the horror of the public here in Scotland and in England, although the Public Order Act doesn't apply here in Scotland, we're still looking on in horror as they jackboot their way into fascism down that road.
Yeah.
You know, and Starmer isn't any different. He's walked away from renationalised utilities. He's walked away from keeping the private sector out the NHS. Starmer is a clone of Sunak.
And also he's walked away from doing anything different with Brexit, apart from trying to make Brexit work. Yeah.
So, but as I say, to get back to the point to Ed Davey, it could work. It could work if that core Tory party, who are guaranteed to stay in their seats, have a look around and say, maybe we should jettison this lot right now and start to build again.
Well, in actual fact, you've got to look at it pragmatically from their point of view. They are looking at they could lose their seats, which were solid.
I'm not talking about the ones that could lose their seat. I'm talking about the ones that couldn't lose their seat no matter what they did.
Yeah, okay.
Fine. And as you and I know, there are such constituencies in England.
Yeah, yeah.
You know. Right, let's move on. 6 new hydroelectric schemes built in Scotland to benefit UK Treasury by 5.8 billion a year by 2035.
Okay, well, because energy is reserved to Westminster.
Well, certainly
Westminster have to give their okay, you know, to yep, definitely you do that, right? Now, normally I would hear people getting very, very angry about it. Well, we're building more electricity stuff to people to send it down to England. Don't get angry about that.
David, can I hold you there because you rang here? When it comes to licensing renewable renewable schemes, the Scottish Parliament does that.
I thought it was. It's only renewables. That's right.
The Scottish Parliament licenses renewables. The UK Parliament licenses fossil fuels. There are certain areas of energy that's reserved. Okay, but the important part here is in the report that I'll bring up that Stephen sent me. I'll bring it up and okay. In this report, 6 Scottish hydro projects could create up to 14,800 UK jobs, which is interesting. Anyway, 6 projects currently under development in Scotland could more than double the UK's pump storage hydro capacity to 7.7 gigawatts and create almost 15,000 jobs and generate up to 5.8 billion for the UK Treasury and the UK economy by 2035. And that's according to a new report by Scottish Renewables and Bigger Economics.
Does it give you any idea, David, when the first one's going to come online?
Oh, it's already in the ground. Shovels are already in the ground in some of them, David.
It still does not give you, you know, like we were told HS2, we were expecting HS2 to be finished by 2018, but it's not, right? So when is this going to be finished, I reckon?
I'm not quite sure. I'm looking at it now. Pump storage hydro is similar to a giant battery. Okay, we know that stuff. And that's where I can't see anywhere in the article. But I know some of these things are already underway.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's no. What I was trying to say is that people get angry at these things.
Right? Rightly so, David. Rightly so.
I appreciate that, right? But at some point, Scotland is going to become an independent country, and what we're going to have is we're going to have all these things owned by.
Bring forward about into light. We can't see you.
Yeah, sorry. When you think about, we're going to have all these things owned by Uncle Tom Cobley and all, right? All the different companies. At some point, the Scottish government is going to get into buying its own renewable projects. And maybe they'll buy existing setups, like the groups of wind turbines, right? We'll be able to do that because Scotland is a rich country, as I'm sure that you're all aware, right? So therefore, all these things that are going ahead, fine, let them go ahead, like the wind turbines in the 4th And these, the hydroelectric, because these are businesses where we can sell electricity to Europe and also to England, where we've got the interconnectors.
I think you're missing the point, David. And we've got our energy minister here in Scotland today, calling on the energy minister from Westminster, who's up here today, Andrew Bowie, Scottish Conservative twat. And he's demanding that they level up on the pay-in tariff. If you're in the north of Scotland, it's £7.56.
No arguments on that. Absolutely no arguments on that whatsoever.
The point is, the whole point of highlighting this is that we're being raped. Our pensioners are freezing in their homes. Our children are going to bed cold at night. But the guy next door is going to generate $5.8 billion a year for our resources. That's the bit, and the sick buggers in Scotland that get through their heat. Their children are going to bed cold and hungry, while the guy next door gets fucking rich.
But when are these projects coming online? That's what I've asked you, right? It could be that those projects would start to come online after we've gained our independence.
David,
right? And the feed-in tariff is an argument that we've had over everything, right?
That's the point, David. The point is that people get angry about this now and they'll vote for independence rather than have their children go to bed hungry. All this shit about the infrastructure being there later. No stopping me missing my Gumper for dying in a cold, horrible this winter.
So how much is it per kilowatt hour for a wind turbine?
I have no idea.
Well, that's the important part, because the electricity down in England is being produced by gas. And that's the reason why we are paying, we're paying the price. We are paying the price that the people in England are paying, because we use the same electricity companies. Yes? Octopus that I use also sell to people in England.
Aye, cheaper than they sell to you.
Well, okay, but it's basically the same tariff all the way across. Okay, there is a feed-in cost, a feed-in tariff, but if they're buying electricity from Scotland, then they'll be paying the feed-in tariff, and therefore I'll be paying for what I've asked for, which is a renewable tariff. Yes. So in actual fact, it's like all this sort of thing. All it is just we're just waiting for fucking independence.
That's where it's taxed.
Yeah.
When the people get angry about where it's taxed, they'll start voting yes.
Yeah, I know
if
that.
Don't highlight the injustice of it.
Yeah.
Then they're going to think there is no injustice to it.
Yeah. But
that's the point of me reporting on the story. The fact that the infrastructure will be there for after the fact doesn't help we Mrs. McGon for this fucking winter.
Correct. Absolutely correct. And it's right to be angry about that. However, David, you're not going to blooming fix it with getting angry. No. The only way you're going to fix it is through getting independence.
And by getting the people angry, they're more likely to vote for independence.
Yeah.
That's the point I'm trying to make, and that's the point of us highlighting this particular issue.
I know, appreciate
when
that.
We are so energy rich and we'll get pensioners freezing to death in their houses.
We have enough renewable right now to 100% cover the power requirements of every home in Scotland.
Yes.
And also part of the commercial properties, and also send so many gigawatts south to England.
And of course, west to Northern Ireland.
Yeah, that's right.
And east to Norway.
Yeah. The ridiculousness of the situation should have been sorted out long before this. It's exactly the same situation we have with VAT. The police in Scotland can't claim the VAT back, neither can the fire service, neither I think can the ambulance service, right? Whereas anywhere outside Scotland in this so-called union can claim back VAT. Then we've got the situation with the feed-in tariff. As you go further up the UK, it gets more and more expensive. However, there is a point round about the Midlands where it's costing you nothing. And then when you go down south of that, if you've got a power station, or you've got a wind turbine or whatever, or a solar set up, you're actually getting paid to put money on that network.
Aye. But as I say, you know, the idea is to highlight this so people can see the injustice of it. Because that's your union dividend. You tax more. You pay more. Simple as that. The UK Treasury raises more per capita out of Scotland than it does any other part of the UK. Fact.
And yet, there are people in this country that will listen to the shit they're being told by the BBC, by Sky or GB News, my goodness me, or Talk or Talk TV or whatever it is, right? What's said on there, by and large, is absolute nonsense. And people have got to become a wee bit more wise in that. Come on, you're no kids. You know, our guys know, but other people will be watching this. For goodness sake, wake up a bit, all right?
It's their job to make them wake up by telling them.
Okay.
Right, anyway, Sunak, right, let's move on to the next one. Sunak U-turns and bonfire of EU laws. The bill will still proceed, but the deadline of 2023 to scrap more than 4,000 trade regulations enshrined in various acts and laws to be scrapped in favour of a more pragmatic approach, apparently. Haven't they done this all the time? You know, let's get Brexit done was the call, right? Oven-ready Brexit, the sunlight uplands of Brexit, right? And yet, when they talked about women cutting the wire, cutting the tape, right? Oh, let's just hold back a wee bit here. Let's be careful. Let's not go too fast. What I really think happened here, David, to be honest with you, is they've had a look at it, and the pressure groups for the UK industry are going like, we can't divert here. If we divert here, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
In huge trouble. And the demise of the CBI, which I still think there's a bit of jiggery pokery involved in that, because they were one of the bigger pressure groups to make sure this didn't happen.
I didn't like them anyway. They were against Scottish independence. But
I know that. But as I say, they were one of the bigger pressure groups, but it would appear that trade unions and the other business consortiums and things like that, it would appear that the pressure is, because the cost of it is billions, is going to be billions to the industry, you know what I mean? So it looks like they're saying they're going to have a more pragmatic look at it. But here's the thing, and this is the important thing. Sunak might be doing this at the moment, but he might not be there for the whole day. They might decide somebody else they want to lead them into the next election, so we could have another PM as well. Yeah. And that other PM could just reverse that situation, because the power that they were handing over to ministers to arbitrarily scrap these laws, rather than have it debated in the Commons, that's still in the bill.
The thing is, when you think about it, they could, hang on a second, Alexa, desk lamp on. Right, I'll get this bugger on so people can see me. They could keep all of these laws and just literally rehead them as being the United Kingdom's whatever, right? There is absolutely no problem with doing that, right? But they won't do it because it would create a loss of face.
But what's interesting is that this has enraged the Brexiteers who wanted a bonfire of regulations and workers' rights and all that by the end of 2023. The reason the deadline was there was because they knew come 2024 it was going into election mode, and the Tories were going to stop being naughty and start being nice. You know what I mean? So they wanted all these regulations scrapped by the end of the year. Now it's not happening. Moggy's on the tranny today going mental. Pound shop, Boris has gone mental. You know, all the Brexiteers are going absolutely radio rental with this, and Sunak's sitting back on.
Well, you know, you look back to Maggie's time, David, and before an election, she became the nicest person in the world. And when you're talking about the privatisation of the gas and the electricity and the rest of it, we all got, if you remember, a wee payment for that. Because what happened was we had shares. We all of a sudden were shareholders as people of the United Kingdom. and we were allowed to sell those shares and get a few pounds for it. And that's how the Tories are nice to you.
I just before an election. Expect a lot of sweeties to be handed out, by the way.
Yeah.
But we'll get everybody try to we'll get to that, but we'll get everybody try to convince us the economy's no people. Everybody try to convince us. It's just a bit holding, but it is dropping. It's dropping. The one that cracks me up right now is inflation. Right now it's projected to be at 9.2. It's still at 10.1. Food price inflation's at 19.4. It's still fucking skyrocketing. It looks like Davies' prediction that we're not getting down to 5% this year. That could be
when you look at it, common sense says if you are trying to fight inflation with something that won't turn inflation because of the situation, which is Brexit, and because of Brexit and because of the lack of euphemia, which was the bidding system that the UK power stations put their prices into 12 midday CET every single day, and we went on to our own bidding system. You lot have been blooming ever been had, you guys. That's what it's come down to, right?
Anyway,
so the Bank of England cannot fix the effects of Brexit through jacking up interest rates. Won't happen.
No, but but we know the inflationary pressures. Ginger Giraffes is coming out of Glasgow on September 8th. Some ideas on independence from an American point of view, and she'll be happy to share them with us if we're interested. Ginger, you can come on. We'll even set up a show if you want.
I'm just going to
discuss it.
Yeah, I'm just going to shout out what Paul McMillan's put up. Alexa, give us independence. Sorry, I'm not got amplifier on. You're listening midway. It's just that's my sub bass kicking in.
Gingers, if you jump onto my YouTube page and get into details, you'll find my telephone number. Give a bell, or BM me.
Your William Bucket says it's going to get worse in July. Collapse of the petrodollar. Maybe yes, maybe no.
That's another interesting one. The City group giving it. We got it wrong because the pound's rising against the dollar. The pound's not rising against the dollar. The dollar's crashing. It's like the boat's capsizing. You've got to figure on: is it too little weight on this side, or is it too much weight on that side? You know, it's like that's the way it is. Davey, apparently you just set off Chris Wilson's Alexa. Brilliant, Gingers. Just give me a bell. We'd love to hear from you. And take your perspective.
I keep going, Alexa, scratch my arse. It doesn't do it. I don't know why.
It's your spanner. Anyway, let's move on to where were we? Anyway, the bonfire of EU regulations. I'm going to swap these ones down, Aaron. We'll get to Plaid Cymru in a minute. All right, so let's look at Bank of England raises interest rates again. The economy is free falling. The Bank of England's drawing money out of the economy, giving money to banks for free. You ever felt you've been fucking mugged?
Exactly.
Thanks, Eddie.
Thank you, Eddie. Thank you very much.
You ever get the feeling you've been mugged? Mortgages and rents go up again. The banks get free money and increased interest payments on loans they've made. Brilliant. And money gets sucked out the economy as the economy's contracted. You couldn't make it up. Talk about economic fucking illiteracy.
Yeah, I mean,
wow.
You've got to look at it across the board. The interest rate rise affects mortgages, right? Okay, we know that one, right? And there are people that are looking seriously. The last time it happened, there's people looking seriously, well, if it goes up again, we're off, right? So there's people who are going to be posting their keys through their letterboxes, and that's the saddest thing you can imagine. I've actually seen that happening, right? Then you've got people that have got a mortgage in order to own a flat or a few flats, a couple of flats that they rent out to people, right? If that mortgage goes up, which generally is it's they only pay the interest.
An interest on the mortgage.
Yeah. That means that those people all of a sudden I think that, well, sorry, we've got to put the rent up, right? And that's a shame. But also, you've got people that are blooming right at the end of their bit of string. They've got a credit card, and the credit cards have a couple of thousand on, or 3,000, 4,000, whatever it is, right? And you spend on that credit card, that's going up as well, because that gets hiked up with the Bank of England interest rate rises. So therefore, you maybe get somebody that's using a credit card to actually put food on the table. That's crackers.
David, we visited the Indy 2 Cafe, saying I went along with meeting the nation at a food bank in West Lothian. All right, I wouldn't end. And we were talking about this with these people, and they were telling us that it was people with nice houses and nice cars because they were at the end of their piece of string. Yeah. That means we're looking 8 months, 9 months later. These people have crashed and burnt. Well, but this is the 13th interest rate hike in a row or something like that. You know what I mean?
You know, and you've got to say what has happened to these people that at one point were doing okay. And now, you know, if you imagine, when I was a boy growing up, right, and this is an interesting point that I've heard being talked about, right? When I was a boy growing up...
David, sit forward or put a bloody light on.
I've got a light, it's right on me.
Well, it's not working.
When I was a boy growing up, it tended to be that one person going out to work was enough. That allowed you to have a couple of kids, a house, whatever, a wee holiday, whatever, right? And then it got into the sort of late 70s, 80s, and then you had the situation where two people had to work, right? And those two people going to work, fine, they were okay. So the 80s was a bit buoyant for families. However, both had to work, right? Then you had the situation of getting into the noughties. And that's when it started to get heavy. And then you had two people at work weren't managing to cope with the money they had to fork out. And a lot of people took to using credit cards. A lot of people got into trouble through using credit cards. Nowadays, you look at it and you go, it's bonkers. People are not managing to feed their families with both of them working and all the rest of it, right? It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yes. It is, and that's why we're raising money.
Yeah.
It's not something we want to be doing. It's something that if we can help, we can help.
Yeah.
You know, it's a bit like saying we go shopping and we pick up extra and put it in the food bank basket and away out to the co-op and things like that. It's, you know, it's because if you can help, we have to help. It's it's our community, it's our neighbours, it's our friends.
Okay, so let's talk about what does a reset look like, right? Let's not. Why not?
Because we've still got a couple more subjects to go, and we've only got 15 minutes left in the programme.
Well, if we've got time, we're going to add it on at the end, all right? Because
we don't have time.
I actually think that talking positively about Scottish independence and telling people, look, this is what the reset looks like. This is what you'll experience if Scotland becomes an independent country is worthwhile. If we don't do it this time, I definitely do say when we go back online on Monday, we should be bringing it up because I think it's important for you and I to discuss what a reset looks like.
David, I'm not interested in changing the wallpaper until I get
No. Nobody's talking about changing the wallpaper. We're purely and simply putting across the positive case for an independent Scotland by talking about what a reset looks like. So in other words, the reset is becoming independent.
We'll do a special show on it if you want. But, this is a topical chat show, dear boy.
Yep.
Right, anyway, so let's move on to the Bank of England being stupid as usual, economically illiterate, sucking money out of the economy and giving more money to the rich, exactly at a point where they need to be ploughing money into the economy so that we can spend into this market economy and keep the market afloat. But anyway, let's move on. Plaid Cymru leader Adam Price stands down. He's replaced by Mr. Griffin, a senior a Senate member. also a member applied, and his temporary appointment will be approved by the National Executive Committee on Sunday. Mr. Price stands down with problems in his party, allegation of sexual assault, a toxic working environment apparently. A recent report claimed the party was full of misogynists and staff were harassed and bullied. Now, Mr. Drakeford, the First Minister down there, who is of the Labour Party, he's looking at the agreement that Labour and Plaid Cymru have down there, a bit like the Greens and the SNP up here, except for Labour don't really need Plaid to hold them up. But he's looking at the arrangement in the Senate, but what he did say is he thanked Mr. Price for working constructively with the Labour Party in the interest of the people of Wales. Right, but the interesting thing about this is, I mean, we ever got a guy stoning down because apparently there's been a sexual assault in his party?
Have I heard this before?
But wait a minute, let's talk about the reality of this, right? A sexual assault, a misogynist atmosphere, a junior staff being harassed and bullied. That's the current government.
Yeah.
I mean, how many of these Tory buggers have we seen having to step out of office and remain as MPs because of their deviance? Yet here we've got a man who is obviously a principal, finds out he's got these problems in his party, unless a sexual assault has been alleged against him, and stands down. But as you say, it would appear the national parties in Scotland and Wales are under attack. I take it Adam must have improved the cause for independence doing that.
Yeah.
You know, there's a pattern.
This seems to be what happens when you've got the British establishment involved. Yeah.
Aye.
So at the end of the day, it's like, I'll get that out my head again. It just seems to me that this sounds a bit like the same old, same old.
Aye. Aye, it just sounds like the treatment is that the Sinn Féin got in Northern Ireland. It's the treatment that the SNP are now getting here, and obviously Plaid's getting it down there. There is fear in this union.
Yeah.
There is a lot of fear in unionist camps.
They are scared that, first off, Scotland is going to go, right?
Northern Ireland.
Northern Ireland going to go, right?
We'll give you a look and say, fuck off. You know?
I watched a programme about that, and it was quite interesting. It was the Ambassador, I think it was called, an American programme. They were talking freely with the Foreign Office in England and saying, Scotland's going to go, then Northern Ireland's going to go, they're going to join up with the pals in the south, and eventually when the Welsh get their heads around it, they'll go as well.
But see, it's interesting that Adam stood down at this point in time, because he has advanced, and the lassie that was the first, the leader of the party.
I don't know what happened to her. She was particularly good at what she did. She was really, really good at arguing the independence side for Plaid Cymru. But I deal with independence for Scotland.
Aye.
I'm not saying that I'm totally unaware of what goes on in Wales. I need to deal with my own first. You know what I mean?
Aye. Anyway, we'll move on for that, will we?
Yep.
Now, what's interesting about what's going on down the road in Wales and here in Scotland? Now, here in Scotland, we've got the Tories and the Labour Party screaming civil war in the SNP. So, but what's interesting is here in Scotland, we don't hear about the civil war in the Labour Party or the civil war in the Tory Party doing that.
That's right.
You know, I mean, we've got New Labour up against the left of the party.
Yeah.
You know, we've got Starmer throwing the left out of the party.
Yeah, it's really, if you looked at Labour of the past, of the real part when my sort of childhood, right? they were a left of centre party, right? And what's happened is that as you come up to the present day, they are now right wing party, and the way they're thinking, you know, when you talk about that, I'm talking about the thinking of certain people within the Labour Party. Lisa Nandy was asked, "What would you do with the Scots regarding independence?" She says, "Is what happened to the people in Catalonia, where they sent in blooming armed forces with batons to blooming beat the hell out of the people." That's Lisa Nandy, who is going to end up with a major role within a Labour Party that gets put into number 10 Downing Street. You know, that's real right-wing thinking. That's as right-wing thinking as, all right, we're bringing back hanging for stealing a few sweets.
And then, of course, on the other side of the fence, we've got the Tories imploding now the Brexit situation. We've just spoke about that hardcore MPs that are going to survive. They might well be coming coalescing together now because they're going to have to rebuild the party. There's all sorts of trouble within the Tory party, and we've still got Bojo and his acolytes stirring up trouble in the background in the Tory party. So, I mean, they've got a cheek to talk about. I've just seen a comment there that Sky's reporting that the parties of Scottish and Welsh independence are imploding. I've got a wee shock for Sky. No. No. Wow. Right. Let's move on to Robert Jenrick trying to mislead the people into believing that the Human Rights Act and the right to claim asylum says that they have to seek asylum in the first safe country they land in, only to be told that's not what it says at all by Channel 4.
Well, I'll give you a personal situation that we were talking about prior to that. If something happened with Scotland where I had to take my family and flee to another country just to stay alive, right? Well, majority of my family are in Canada, in the west coast of Canada, where it's Vancouver, right? So I'd be bypassing Iceland, Greenland, Newfoundland, and then obviously try and get in Canada and then head for the opposite end of Canada, the west coast, right? So I'd be guilty of doing what Jenrick's talking about, but it's just common sense. It's me, a family.
What's interesting about that is, right, he gets pulled up with Mr. Murty in Channel 4. Says that's not what it says at all. He then goes on to say he and his party family believe that's what it says. So he's trying to mislead the people. He then goes on to say that these people are asylum shopping. Asylum shopping. Yeah. Now, we all know why these people are coming here. It has to do with the empire. It has to do with Windrush generation and the amount of people who came here in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, because we had a shortage of workforces. And they all came to Commonwealth countries. And now all these Commonwealth countries got up in fire. Yeah. They all want to come and join their families in safe places. Yeah. That's why they're coming here. Also, most of them speak English. Because it's the international language. So they speak English and they've got family here. That's why these people are coming here. But Mr. Jenrick says they're just shopping. Yeah. They're not coming here for benefits. We know that much because benefits are better in France, Germany, Spain, Italy, Holland.
And the weather's better. Right? Seriously. I remember one poor wee soul who was working in security at the new Parliament in Swansea when I was there helping build it, right? And that wee soul, he shivered every day, sat at that desk inside the main thing, because there's no front on it yet, right? And the wee soul, I'd actually go to Marks and Spencer's and buy him some thermals so he could put them on. And that's the problem. These people are not shopping. They're not shopping for seeing what place they're going. In Wales, you're talking, that's the blooming Riviera of the UK. That gets most heat, but in the winter time, near the water, it is particularly cold. And so these people are not shopping when it comes to that. If you were shopping, you would say, "Oh, can you send me to Rwanda? That sounds nice and warm, like the place I came from."
See, but you got all these muppets think they're coming here and taking benefits. I said benefits are better right across Europe. In fact, here's a wee shock for the people who are watching in England. Benefits are better than fucking Romania, what they are here.
The thing is, though, asylum seekers, how much money do they get?
Bugger all.
That's what they get an amount. It's
what I cared will they give me. It was 36 quid for a female with a child under 5. It goes up to £38.83 or something like that. Somebody can correct me. It's wee Welsh to look. £38.83 if the child's over 5. And they get that in a sort of Oyster card and they'll tell which shops it can be spent in.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. And it's like these people that are coming here, far better to get them processed and let them go out and get a job.
Aye.
And that way they can earn.
Remember the story of that wee lassie in Govan who starved to death and couldn't feed her baby?
Yeah.
That's how much they're getting. That's not enough to cover electricity, clothing, food. They're getting bugger all. They're not coming here for benefits. They're coming here because they speak the language and they've probably got family here.
Bloody sad. Bloody sad. And
Robert Jenrick, let's get back to the point, trying to convince the people that the UK government's right and their interpretation of the rights to seek asylum are correct and they should stop in the first country that they get to. Here's a wee news flash for everybody out there. The majority of them do. Mm-hmm. They end up in refugee camps waiting to go home when the trouble's over.
Yeah.
The majority do stop in the first safe country. I think it's about 86% of them, which is quite funny because 86% of people who get processed here as asylum seekers turn out to be bloody asylum seekers. But Jenrick actually trying to convince the people that Westminster's right and the United Nations is wrong. And we know about the letter that was drafted by the United Nations Commissioner on the right to seek asylum. He made it quite clear this bill breaks international law. You know, and with all the NGOs and all the legal fraternity tell them this breaks international law. With the European Court of Human Rights tell them it breaks international law. But Jenrick's trying to tell us that it doesn't because their interpretation of what the rights to seek asylum say and what the UN, who drafted the bloody thing, says are wrong.
So what's the solution? I know for the people of England, they're buggered because no matter which way they jump, whether they vote Labour, Tory, Lib Dem, whatever, right? They're not going to get this reversed, right? It's not going to happen, right? Whereas in Scotland, we have a choice. And well, hopefully we've got a choice coming pretty damn soon. That if we vote SNP, we get Scottish independence. Not by voting.
We're almost out of time, so let's get to the very last subject today because I want to end on something light and something light-hearted. Well, sort of light and light-hearted. And that is First Minister's questions today. Wow, Coombs isn't half slaughtering the buggers, isn't he?
Yeah.
Not quite as classy as Nicola, but much more direct. And he's prisoners.
I thought his comment today about getting rid of Tories and also the red version.
Listen, we'll get to that. We've got to deal with Douglas Dross first. Dross gets the first question, and Dross batters in about the cost of the new National Care Service. Of course, as we know, Tories don't like to spend money on people who don't care. They like small state. And he says that the initial cost, he said, was going to be 1.3 or 1.6 billion, then what it was. He went on to say, you're in disarray. So, Coombs are trying to be fair, says to him, look, we're having a review. Costs are going up everywhere, but, that's just the way it is. It's called inflation, but we don't want to tell that idiot Dross, Anyway, sit forward, David, we can't see you.
Sorry. The thing with that, with a National Care Service, you have to remember, it's already happening. We haven't put the framework in place, but we've got people that are employed by local councils or by the each council to actually go out and look after people. I've got a relative that is being attended to 4 times a day by 2 people each time, right, coming out to this relative's house. And at the end of the day, it's like that effectively is your care service.
Aye, but the whole point is to take it out of the hands of the private sector, because they people will be working for a private sector company.
Yeah, but they're paid for.
Now, what Dross is complaining about is the cost of taking it in-house and making it a national care service like a national health service. Now, here's the thing, folks. It doesn't matter how much it costs. It's a bloody must, and it will save us money in the long term. Because as David's pointing out, I'm going to point out, we used to have it. We still have it as sorts, but it's been sourced out now rather than being done directly with the councils. We need to bring it back into public hands. And no matter what the cost of that is, it has to come back in.
Yeah. Also, we used to have in the past, I don't know if it's still there, maybe a nurse can tell me, we used to have, for people that were slightly infirm, being released from hospital, going back to their house, you had the DART team, which was to provide, to put services round about that person to make their move back to the house rather than being stuck in a hospital for months and months and months.
I don't know, it's all happening. They modify it, put in wait rooms and all that sort of stuff.
However, the other benefit of having a national care service is that you put in place a structure, a path where somebody can actually move up the ladder, right? Yeah. And become a supervisor, take charge, whatever, right? And that is good because then it makes employing people into that service much easier. It becomes much like the nurse or doctor setup.
It's not just it also puts in place a structure for the patient. Hospital to home care when it's no longer efficient, into residential care, and then to residential care into palliative care when end of life comes. Now, you can put structures in place, but once it's created, it'll be cheaper because there is no profit creaming after the tap.
Right.
And it also means that profit that's been creamed after the tap can then be put into equipment, it can be put into infrastructure, it can be put into wages, and we can actually start caring for people properly. So Dross complaining about the cost, that's a Tory thing.
Mm-hmm.
The cost, whatever the outlay is going to be worth it in the end. Worth it in the end, and that's what we'll get. Now we can move on to the red Tory idiot poverty pie Sarwar. And boy, did he know open the door up. Did he know? Talk about, this is what's wrong with Sarwar, and he thinks he's a great politician. He gets up and he asks Humza, Labour's going to win in England, this is where he's heading to. Do you not think the people of Scotland would be better with a Labour government, meaning voting Labour, than with a Tory government? But remember, this is Anna Sarwar, who is putting the blocks on Scottish devolution and propping up a Tory government through Starmer. Anyway, Humza comes back at him and says, nah, actually, people of Scotland would be better with independence. They're not getting good representation with a red or blue Tory doing that road, or tie doing that road. No, absolutely. Shows you how inept that poverty pie is. You know, he opens the door up to get slapped left, right, and centre. Humza doesn't miss the goal. It's douche. Sit down, poverty pie. No, feck it. Get your ass up to the naughty step.
However, I did like the phrase he used with poverty pie. He said, oh, the branch manager of the Scottish Labour. Now, I've never heard Nicola Sturgeon saying that, and I thought that was really good. And that's what
really good. You know, he then goes on to batter into him with all the pledges that Starmer's walked away from. You know, and brilliant. I mean, Humza's a wee bit more direct. You're right. He's quite willing to call them branch managers and politicians and things like that. Nicola's a wee bit more classy, but Humza's no half slaughtering them. Yeah. But man, it shows you how inept poverty pie is. He opens himself up to get beat up.
Yep.
And I mean beat up. You want a Labour slitting in the polls again. Right, David, game's a bogey.
Right.
Have I've got work to go. I've got work to go in 56 minutes. I've
Right,
got my dinner to eat and the dog to walk. So
the party's over.
right.
Right. Anyway, so listen, you guys, if we can manage to book Independence for middle of next week, can we manage that? That'd be really nice.
Oh, listen, I'm not any holidays till later in the year. Anyway, folks, I hope you found it entertaining. I hope you found it informative. You know, I hope the delivery was good.
I hope you found me bright enough.
No, we don't. Get the lighting in that gaff sorted out.
No, I think it's my gain that needs turning up.
What you do is, you were worried about the sun because of the light in front of you, right? Get an 8 curtain here, Sparrow.
Yeah, be honest
Set
with
of
you.
blinds. £6, a wee roller blind. You can tip it down a wee bit, let the line in.
Expensive. That's expensive. My wife would go blooming crazy at that, really. Honestly. What are you talking about?
Stick a towel, put something in front of when they leave half the light coming
I'll
through.
put you in front of it then. Okay, fair enough. You come here and you stay.
Anyway, that's enough. If you're on YouTube, and the majority of you are, if you're on YouTube, smash the like button, press subscribe if you've not already subscribed. Ginger Giraffes, mind and give me that call or send me a DM, and we'll discuss talking to you about your ideas when you hit Glasgow in the 8th and 9th, I think it was September. You said, but I'll look back at the comments. Now, if you're on Facebook and you intend to share this, give me a couple of minutes to turn it to public. And so I've only got a couple of minutes because we're down to eat, dog to walk, and get to work. All in 54 minutes now. So that just leaves one thing left to say, David.
Well, just before we go, if you do like what we do, we are called the Two Davies. So there you go. If you don't like what we do, this was a party political broadcast on behalf of the Lib Dem Party. Right. Bye, Davey. Bye, guys.
Bye, folks.